I tell you what caught me there, man. Zeta Reticuli.
Yes.
What's your take on Zeta Reticuli?
Zeta Reticuli, right? It's
It's about 38,000 light years away, I think.
There's a lot of things about that system. There's a lot,
Exactly it.
Yeah, so it's a... I don't know where to begin.
Ooh.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to come back to this topic again because back in season 1, I had a two-parter with this guy. Remember him, Ignatius Bong? And we were talking about everything extraterrestrial. And then I realized, hey, a lot of you guys actually like that topic. And so, the Chris Hansen Conversation have decided to start a few series of different topics. And this one is now going to be called UFO Reveal Asia, or UFORA for short. And the reason why we want to do this is because we want to bring more awareness about the UFO UAP phenomena to Asia in English medium, because none of you guys are really doing it. And so we want to be the ones to bring this across to Asia. And so today, for the first of our UFORA series, I have back with me, and I've said this in the last episode concerning this topic with Douglas Anderson, and this gentleman couldn't be here with me then because he was taken ill, but he is here and back in studio at CCBTV for this particular episode, and we have conferred him, and I'm going to say this officially right now since he's with me, we have conferred Ignatius Bong as CCBTV's official ufologist. And welcome back, Bong.
Oh, thank you so much for the honor. I'm deeply touched, especially over there when I get anal probed.
Well, I have not prepared a plaque for you yet to put it up, though.
We should have one.
I'm trying to design something in 3D print, that looks like an anal probe.
Yeah, anal probe. Yeah, holding my hand. Yeah, man. Okay, but hello everyone. Welcome back to this very important topic. Since we started mentioning about certain of these flying objects, I think it caught some public awareness and especially attention because it is something that, as we mentioned in our previous series, something that is not really delivered much on social media or on any podcast, especially in this Asia Pacific region. So we hope to trailblaze and be the only one, the original one, to be able to do this.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope that continues, but you know how people can be bloody copycats, huh?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, we're going to talk about today, Bong. What is it we're going to be talking about today? You got some things lined up for us.
Okay, so the last season, which you should follow, but if you have not, please look through that. But for this time round, we are just going to go into a very important topics that has happened recently. As the time of this recording, it is now 2023. Okay, so actually it's in August 2023, but something happened in the United States on July the 26th. So we're going to talk about this topic, and then we're going to bring you through and link it to the other important topics. So what are these topics? Okay, first and foremost, we are going to talk about the United States House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. I know it's a very long word. Okay, that means it's the US government. They made a hearing on a whistleblower. His name is David Grush. So he made some outstanding allegations and outstanding stories, and he brought it up to Congress. And there was a hearing, a 2-hour plus hearing. And we feel that in Asia, we should actually make this better known to those who are actually watching it and who are unaware that this happened. Mm-hmm. Right? And then once that is done, based on this topic of his whistleblowing content, we're going into the Roswell incident. Okay, and then we'll go into Majestic 12, a set of documents and a set of people who are running an investigation. And then lastly, we will flow into a disclosure discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's going to be heavy. Anyway, you do know, Bong, this is the moment that we really have to dig deep and dive into the rabbit holes for each of this topic. We can't really just be skimming it. Yeah. Okay, so which one do you want to start off with? You want to start off with the US Congressional Hearing?
Okay, but before I begin, I would also like to mention that Chris Hansen is also very well versed in this topic. Yeah, he's very well. I think he's more well versed than me, so he should be the ufologist, the chief ufologist. Right?
You need a bigger anal probe.
Yeah, his content is very strong, so he has a lot to share as well as we go along. So you will actually hear more of the stories behind the accusations or whatever. I will just generally give the factual what has happened. So I'll start with the US House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Right. So basically, what happened was in 2017. Correct me if I'm wrong, if the date is wrong. The New York Times. The New York Times, it's something like a very serious newspaper. They will not put up anything that is non-factual or hearsay. So they made an announcement that the United States...
Respectable paper.
Yeah, respectable people. The United States government actually has a black budget program to investigate UAPs. Right? So UAPs, in case you're wondering what are UAPs and what are UFOs, they are basically the same thing. Right? I prefer to use the word UFO because I'm an old man, but for the younger generation, say UAP because it is a very political statement that they want to make. Okay, and it has changed the definition of what UAP means quite a few times because they're not very sure.
Okay,
right. So it's basically something to do unidentified aerial phenomena.
It could also be unidentified anomalous phenomena.
Yes.
So they can play with the A in UAP.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So the idea is basically, could it be weather based? Could it be something to do with geographical geology or something? Not geology, I mean the atmospheric pressures that you see, or really something unidentified. Very clever of them, salesmen. So David Grush was one whistleblower who came up. And coming back to the story first. So when the New York Times released that information, there was also a release of 3 videos. Yeah. So these 3 videos became famous around the world because they were released by the Pentagon and they were stated to be true. So that took everybody by surprise. Firstly, we thought that the US government didn't actually acknowledge about these kind of things. Secondly, they actually took video footage. The video footage is very important because they had technology inside that video. That means they were shot by the planes, by radar and other sources like satellite. I don't know where is the satellite.
I think it was in-cockpit video recording.
In-cockpit video, yes.
I've got one video that, Kai, I hope you got it ready, the Tic Tac video. This one is the one that happened in the one with Fravor. One of the 3 whistleblowers, in case you guys don't know, is a guy, besides David Grush, there's this guy named Fravor. He was the commander for the squadron on board a carrier. It wasn't a Nimitz group. This is the one outside of the Nimitz group.
Yes.
So Fravor chased after this object. Do you have it? There you go.
Fighter pilots from the USS Nimitz flying Super Hornets encountered an aerial object that was described as 40 feet long and shaped like a tic-tac. The object flying a random pattern, appearing at 80,000 feet, and then dove to 20,000 feet at incredible speed. The radar controller at the nearby USS Princeton was able to follow the alien aircraft for a few minutes before disappearing.
Yeah, okay, I take it back. It was not Fravor's. Fravor was in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. This is from Nimitz. Yeah, this is from the one at Nimitz, yeah.
Yeah, so following up on what Chris has mentioned, his name was David Fravor. He's a retired US Navy commander. So they were on exercise off the coast of America, where these ships started coming, this tic-tac ship started flying in, and he was asked to investigate, he and a co-fighter pilot. So they spotted a white object, that was around 2:04, okay, and then these objects were hovering above their jets. So upon closer inspection, he said there were no visible rotors, wings or exhaust coming up, and it was ascending and approaching his fighter jet. Now, the thing is that why this also is important, because the testimony came from a pilot. So a fighter pilot is very observant, is very sharp, especially in defense circles.
And trained.
And trained. Yeah, he's trained to spot things that are not a thing. So he says that this UFO vanished and appeared a few seconds later. But this time it was spotted 60 miles away. So within a matter of seconds, it flew off 60 miles away. So he said that the technology they faced was very superior than anything that they had. So they actually went to chase this Tic Tac, but they couldn't actually catch up with it, and it just went off. So again, it was just reported internally, but it was not brought up to the public.
Yeah, but what's important is that the Pentagon decided to, for some whatever strange reason you think, to release this publicly for not just to the Americans, but the rest of us, the whole world. I mean, right now they've admitted that we don't know what these things are, though. They said that, but they're not denying anything, and they release these videos. So I think that alone in itself is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, correct. There are certain theories why they are doing that. They are basically releasing information to the public on these topics in drips and drabs, in very small pieces for people to absorb.
Yeah.
The reason being very obvious is that if I were to tell you something that will rock your social circle, your life, it will create quite a bit of panic.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I give you a case which we just experienced, which was COVID. When we first had COVID, it was very frightening because we didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It actually caused a lot of panic. One of them, like in Singapore, very famous, they go and buy toilet papers.
It's not just Singapore, man. This is a fucking buying toilet papers is a worldwide phenomenon, man.
I mean, it's a joke, but you can see people rushing to the supermarkets to buy food and to stock up.
It's become a study in sociology right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
much.
correct. And it's just one bacteria or one kind of a what they call it, a virus. Imagine if I were to tell you there's somebody aliens coming in, they're going to kill you and blah blah blah. You can imagine the mass panic.
Yeah, I know. I think the worry that these people have is because there's going to be a lot of crises. There's going to be an economic crisis because the fossil fuel industry is going to be in trouble. Why? I mean, as we go along with your topic, there's going to be more and more information about that. The reason why there could be just, an economic crisis and panic, and besides that, there'll also be a challenge and crisis for theology.
Yes, correct.
Across all faiths in the world, there'll be a lot of questions.
Yes.
That the world population will be asking, and I don't know whether, I think that over the years and, all these decades, like 70 plus 80 years of cover-ups and deception could just likely be because they feel that people are not ready.
Yeah, correct.
Right? And they cannot afford to have economies, really hitting rock bottom because the fossil fuel industry is just going to be impacted.
Yes, correct. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, why fossil fuel? Because there's basically talk that an alternative energy will be provided. So that means they don't use fossil fuel anymore. And
it's free.
It's free, yeah. So that will have a big impact. And what is, as Chris mentioned, yes, theology, that means religion-wise. All the major religions in the world will have to sort of scramble because they have not functioned in this particular, external intrusion into their belief system.
Yeah, and I think when we look at free energy, is exotic technology. If let's say one day really the aliens do come, right, in full view of everyone, yeah. I mean, they're just gonna come down right over your capital cities and get so low and hover there.
Yeah,
and they're not gonna. And nobody can say that. Oh no, that's rubbish. You can't deny that anymore. Let's say that day happens. There's complete first contact. Where as far as the world is concerned, that's first contact.
Yes.
Where the first contact has occurred 60, 70 years ago, we wouldn't know, right?
Yes, correct.
But let's say on the hypothesis, it's fun to just think about this. These guys come, and then if they're not malevolent, if they're benevolent, hopefully, they share technology with us. They're going to give us free energy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, look, right now we heard about this thing called Element 115.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm not going to go into that right now because I'm going to leave it to you to lead the way. Okay.
Okay.
Saying too much, talking too much.
Yeah.
Man. Please.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, but that's quite a good background for us to because that's where we're coming on for today's topic about also disclosure. If you are to disclose what is going to happen. But we come back to this the first one, which is the House Committee on Oversight.
Right.
So basically, what happened was 3 retired military veterans testified at a House hearing on these UFO projects, UFO sightings, warning that the sightings are a national security problem and the government had been too secretive about them. So the hearing is the latest push by lawmakers also in the US, intelligence officials and some military personnel to sort of look into this platform, into this problem on a national platform, which is the US platform. So a bipartisan group. That means for those who do not know about politics in US, they're basically the Republicans and the Democrats. So it is a very rare opportunity where both groups get together to sort of agree and investigate a topic.
Yeah, it's rare, man.
It's very
to
rare.
have these two parties coming together and working together on the topic.
The topic.
These guys are doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it all started with David Grush, who is a former Air Force major. So he was asked to lead a government task force on UAPs.
He's a decorated soldier.
Decorated soldier as well,
Yeah.
in 2019. So he and US Navy pilots have actually reported about 650 instances of flying objects moving in all manners in the United States airspace that defy conventional aeronautics physics. So he claims under oath, because he has to go under oath to swear in front of the Senate when they're doing the investigation, to give his testimony, that the United States military has decades been in possession of the remains of crashed UAPs or UFOs, and has long been trying hard to reverse engineer them. With this intelligent technology, we bring it back to our base, and with third party companies and second party whatever, and then try to reverse engineer. So he made it clear that he did not actually see any of this, but he heard from a lot of witnesses.
Basically, he took down testimonies of witnesses.
Testimonies of witnesses, and that was his basis of coming out. But he did give them. He will provide Congress with more information in what do you call that? That special room.
A skiff.
A skiff.
It's called a skiff. Yeah.
A skiff is a kind of room. It's like a glass. From my understanding, you walk inside. It's like a glass room, and surrounding it there are speakers blasting, not music but humming sound.
So that there's no one can hack into it.
No one can hack it, and you can't actually put the microphone can't pick it up. So
but Bong, the fucking problem is that when Congress themselves have said it, on camera, right? That the only areas and places where they can get a skiff, which is a soundproof room, devoid of anyone being able to pry into that, because that's meant to take private, secret conversations and testimonies. Are actually offered by the Pentagon. Yeah. And the Pentagon's been giving them the run around and giving them a fucking skiff.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Yes, correct.
They're giving Congress the run around.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Yeah. So one of the persons heading it from Congress is a Republican senator. Yeah. His name is Tim Burchett.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's so angry with them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were giving them a run around. Because before this committee was done, this hearing, which was done live on national TV as well, they gave him a run around. Yeah. Over there. So he was very pissed, and he was saying, "We are the government. We tell you what to do, not you."
Yeah. Not just that, they were also saying that their security clearance is pretty high. They were even stopped at an airbase by the commander of the airbase, who refused them entry.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I mean, it's remarkable, man. I mean, these people are Congress.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so the historical part about this thing is that now this, like we mentioned in season 1, people who talk about UFOs are crazy. Now they say, no, you're not crazy actually. We are encouraged to come and tell us. So the narrative has changed.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and this has brought up a lot of questions, like how we started today's session, which is, why are they doing this? I from my personal point of view, the senators and this Congress, they have seen a lot that was not disclosed to the public.
Right.
They actually seen a lot, and they are now devising a strategy to bring this information out to the public very slowly. Right. Like by first making it sure that this is a serious topic, and we are listening to you through a whistleblower program, and then from there, I slowly drips and drabs release information about this aliens.
So like weaning the people into this topic.
Yeah, weaning the whole population of Earth into this topic. Right. Because there are talks, actually, a lot of hearsay, and there's a lot of chatter, quite strong chatter, that in the year 2027, there will be a major contact event.
Holy shit balls. This is where I think this is the part where we have to play this video, man.
Yeah.
Kai, you know which one, right?
You have this video.
Yeah, Ramirez. That's it. Ramirez.
We're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension, the world population into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before, previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real, and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. And in many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027.
They are.
We better be prepared, and if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. And so I think that dialogue has happened within, inside the government, in certain areas inside the government, that we need to prepare. And that's why in 2017, that set a clock of 10 years. And why Lou Elizondo earlier in this year said, just find a hobby for 5 years. And, it'll all be out in 5 years. And he said that this year, so that was 2027. And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity that I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening, and that there's limited time, a few more years to prepare the people, and that's what's ramping up this acceleration from the previous 7 decades of not even acknowledging it to now we are acknowledging it at a faster and faster pace.
Can you imagine, man? I mean, okay, first of all, credit to Ella LeBain. Thank you very much for sharing that on your Facebook. Excuse me. Man, I the reason why I got a big glass of water, because this whole damn thing is so heavy, man. I mean, look at what this guy said, Ramirez. And Ramirez is quite popular, I mean, we all know he's ex-CIA, those people who are in the ufology circle. And for him to say that he cannot reveal an official source that told him 2027, some big shit's
It's going to happen.
going to happen.
Yes.
That thing about what I said earlier about having UFOs coming down and hovering over our capital cities, and they're not moving.
Yeah.
I mean, good grief, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing, you see, because as I mentioned, that's a very good clip that you have there.
Yeah.
I also noticed it's an ex-CIA.
Yeah.
So in order for them, the ex-CIA or any government officials in the world, if you want to say something like that, you got to get clearance.
Yeah.
You cannot just say, I want to say this, blah, blah, blah.
Like Grush had to get clearance as well, didn't he?
They actually gave you the clearance without mentioning names or events. So that means something is correct,
Yeah.
Of course, they gave you the clearance to say 2027.
Yeah.
For example, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, but
and he makes sense in the way that the story, the narrative of this UFO through decades long is coming up.
It's like a 10-year program started in 2017. We know that because we just saw the videos of the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
That was released in the New York Times with the Pentagon in 2017.
Yes, correct.
Then now we have Ramirez saying that, look, man, it's like a 10-year campaign.
Yeah.
2027 is the year.
Yeah.
But coming back to the point about you said clearances, people like Ramirez, people like Isaac Grush had to get clearance, right? Mm-hmm. He was very careful throughout the entire hearing.
Yes.
Where he said, I cannot mention that here. It's classified. I cannot mention it here. We're going to talk in the skiff. I will give you the information then, including the names and lists of third-party contractors, the military-industrial complex. Who are these people? The people who whistleblowed, who are they? I will give it to you, but only in the skiff, right?
Yeah.
Though he was given the green light to reveal certain information, what happened after the hearing was that some group of people, some agency perhaps, tried to smear him over his medical records.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Right? But the thing is that, he admitted, I've got PTSD. So what?
Correct. Yes.
Right? But people are trying to smear him.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether or not this goes further and deeper than his bosses.
True. They are basically critics in the United States.
No, I'm saying deep state, man. I don't know. I'm saying shadow government. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Because, the general story is that it's very hard to keep something so secret for so long.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first reason. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, there's some logic to that. How can you keep secret for 70 years? Number one. Number two is that it's what David Grush is doing is just repeating stories that we have already heard in the circle for years and years.
Yeah.
He's just bringing it out, so it's something fresh.
Yeah.
Okay, publicity stunt, whatever, so that people will know and realize. But this story is not new.
Yeah.
This UFO thing, for those who are watching for the very first time, is not a new phenomenon. It has happened for many, many years.
Yep.
Right? So we have even records from maybe hundreds of years back.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is nothing new. So he's just maybe just saying the same thing over again, but in another format. Right?
Right.
And then also, you can either embrace it as the definitive truth or to be balanced in your view. You can dismiss it out.
Yeah.
So these are a few things that, as a listener and as a viewer of this show, but what we have done basically is to inform you that such things has happened, and they are actually looking into it. But how successful they are and how deep this content will go, we will have to wait and see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So we're talking about crash sites. I think maybe some of you may be wondering, no lah, never crashed before. I've never heard of this incident of a flying saucer crashing. Okay, their technology is so strong. How can they crash?
Mm-hmm.
But actually, there was a crash. Okay, there was my assumption. Okay, but some people say no, some people say yes. But the very famous one, if you watch the X-Files, if you watch a lot of UFO or science fiction movies, right? Everything you watch, right? They will mention about this incident called the Roswell incident.
There's even a TV series called Roswell.
Roswell, correct? Yeah. Right. So it's a big thing. So Roswell incident, basically, what happened was the July of 1947. Okay, you must imagine, right? July 1947 is just very close to the end of World War II, right? So there was still a lot of tension or surveillance because the war has ended, but people has not yet deemed the world as a safe place yet because they still got military stuff everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Army airfield personnel who issued a press release announcing possession of a flying disc.
Right.
Okay, so that means that they recovered a metallic stuff. So I think it was after that, a day or two later, they retracted the story. And they said it was just a metallic and rubber debris from a military balloon.
Oh, a weather balloon.
A weather balloon.
Yeah.
So, of course, 1947, we don't have social media. We don't have nothing. We only have this story coming out in the Roswell Ranch, which is basically a newspaper belonging to that state, a small town.
Yeah.
So, nobody has heard. I say, okay, that's rubbish, blah, blah, blah. So, what happened was it again sort of came into public view many years later, 1978. Okay, what happened was that there was a ufologist. This is the real one, not me. I just made it one. This is a I think he's a engineer or some physics scientist or something. His name is Stanton Friedman.
Right, nuclear physicist.
A nuclear physicist. Yeah,
right.
Correct. So his credentials are great. So it's Stanton Friedman. So he actually had an interview with a retired lieutenant colonel in 1978, Jesse Marcel. So in that interview, Marcel revealed that the weather balloon cover-up was a story only, just to divert the public's attention.
Right.
The debris, he speculated, came from an extraterrestrial origin, and then he gave a lot of reasons why. So that's how he blew up this whole thing called the Roswell incident from the 1978 book that Stanton Friedman wrote. Okay. So it became very, very, very big in the world. Right. And now we have this sort of called urban legend that has happened. Right. Okay, I use a very safe term, urban legends, because I don't just go and, this is the thing, that's it, because we try to be biased and balanced in our views. Over for CCBTV, because we are a good channel. We are a well-researched channel. We do not jump the gun and say things that are just hearsay. But we will give and balance out the views to you.
Yeah, and people have got to decide for yourselves whether or not what you're listening is true or not.
Yes,
that's your call to make. But we're not saying that it is, and we're not saying that it's not.
Yes, and please subscribe below. Just click on the link and subscribe, and of course, spread the word around. Yeah, because it's very unusual for in Asia to have such a
Topic discussed.
Topic discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to sorry for the advertisement. So
Thank you for the advertisement.
Most welcome.
Yeah.
So coming back to this Roswell incident.
Yeah.
So the by his testimony, it came out a lot of complex theories. And
Right.
then, he went to actually do more investigation. He tried to get all those people who were there, present, the military personnel, the nurses,
Right.
the secretaries,
Uh-huh.
even the farmers.
Right.
And all of them sort of supported his statement.
Okay. So they corroborated the story.
Yes, corroborated the story. So that's why the story still stands very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they recovered a crash disk, right? So when David Grush spoke to the Senate in July last month, this was the first thing that hit many people's head, the Roswell incident.
Right.
Yeah.
So which brings me to this bit here, because I think you know what David Grush has done, and together with Graves and Fravor, the three whistleblowers so far who were witnesses and given the testimonies to Congress. But besides, those are recent times. But I think if we go a little further back, what people have discovered, like people like Stanton Friedman, people like Bill Moore, you know, what they discovered about how serious the American government began to actually take the UFO phenomena, which they denied, and they've denied for 70 years, right? But we know that they've been serious because of this document called the MJ-12. It's actually a microfiche
Yes.
received from an anonymous sender to film producer and UFO researcher Jamie Shandera in the 1980s.
Yes.
And Shandera was actually in collaboration with Stanton Friedman and ufologist Bill Moore, right, on a potential documentary project on Roswell, right?
Yeah.
So this document actually showcased 12 important people, not just from the intelligence and military community, but also from the private commercial contractor community.
Yes.
And that's kind of serious, you know.
Yeah.
And signed off by Harry Truman.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
So these are known as the Majestic 12 or the MJ-12 group,
Yes.
right? And there was a purportedly document that came out from there that has all their names on it, and then the signature of Harry Truman.
Yes. And he actually admitted this to his then Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal.
That's right.
So he did admit it that, look, listen, there is this group called MJ-12.
Yeah.
Is there still a group MJ-12 today? We don't know. Probably not. But there may be a different group right now overseeing this entire campaign.
Yes, correct.
You know?
Yeah.
Interestingly, Bong, even in case you don't know, the British also have a kind of similar arrangement. Somewhere in World War II, it was suggested that an intergovernmental agreement was made before MJ-12
I see.
between Churchill and Eisenhower over the fact that Churchill was concerned that UFOs, to him, they were real, and that they had better not make it public because it'd be too much for people to handle during time of war. And it could, and he also said it could change religious beliefs and destroy the church. So the Brits, I mean, allegedly could also have something going on where that's concerned between them and the US government.
Yeah. Actually, to be very honest, I think every country has one. Whether it is admitted or not, okay. So I'm going to say something now very controversial.
Sure.
Yeah, but of course it's nothing offensive.
Yep.
Okay. Because I saw a video of the MH370 when they had a press conference.
Yeah.
Right. So the defense person was explaining the plane over Penang. So on a satellite dish.
Right.
Right. He says he saw an unknown ob. All they could say, I saw a dot and an unknown ob.
Okay.
So when questioned, they cannot give an answer.
Okay.
Right. So that is an aside. Okay. But I'm just trying to say that we have military people looking at satellites all the time in defense of their airspace. Radar.
Yeah,
right. So they have a very simple thing is just they will lock down what they see.
Yep.
And then of course now that the topic is quite big in the US,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of government intelligence people are also preparing.
I mean,
In a way, start a committee, a small one, 1-2 member thing,
Yeah.
and then just try to.
But you do know, Bong. I mean, end of the day, there are also whack jobs out there, right?
Yeah.
We this bunch of dingbats sometimes. I've seen some of these 1 or 2 YouTube videos, of some other people, YouTubers who came up with this story about MH370.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really too much speculation where that's concerned, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
like why would they do this? If they wanted to take an airline, let's say,
Yeah.
ET, for example,
Yeah.
hypothetically, if they want to take anything, they would have done it a long time ago.
Correct.
Why this particular flight?
Because I was just struck at that press conference when that Malaysian defense minister or defense attaché or
Yeah.
defense person,
Yeah.
he said we saw a blob, but we cannot identify.
Did he really
Yeah.
say that? Was
He
it?
said that, yes.
Was it
It
in
was-
camera, man?
It was on camera in front of the press.
Really?
Yeah, the whole is just zooming in on this
Holy
topic. Yeah.
shit, man! I must have missed out
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
that was
Oh.
a very catchy thing. It was just very fast, but you could actually see.
But nobody picked up on it or
Nobody-
hopped on it.
Nobody
no
hopped
one.
on it because at that time,
Wow.
I mean, of course, we will not use this kind of
Wow.
things to speculate. Yeah, so I mean, the idea of me mentioning that,
Yeah.
is just basically that sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
The military will have to keep track of what is happening. Yeah.
Well, it's so strange, man. Every time you think about Singaporeans or people in Asia, they always seem to think that this shit doesn't happen in Asia. But I've discovered a couple of things, though, in case you didn't know. There are lesser known UFO crashes in the world outside of the US.
Yes.
But one interesting one that was in the US that I gotta say actually happened in Nebraska in Dundee County on June 6, 1884.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
Way before Roswell, and this thing crashed, and some men approached it. Some of them actually died of burns because the heat was so bad emitted out from this craft that they were approaching, and this is way back when, and it was reported in the Nebraska Nugget newspaper.
I see.
Yeah. One of the witnesses would suffer intense burns from getting too close to the craft. Yeah, and then they said what's interesting was when they tried to move it, they were shocked at how remarkably light it was, even though the exterior was a strong, unknown metal at the time.
Yes, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes reports like that are interesting, especially the older ones. Just like some photography of photographs of flying saucers.
Right.
I always like to trust when I advise people who are into this topic, pick up the oldest one, 1945, 1946, 1950 plus, because sometimes those images are true. That means you can prove them whether to be real or not. If you just say I take a new photograph now, there's an alien above Tampines. Sorry, a UFO above Tampines. Then wow, all Photoshop is so clear, everything's so clear, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes what investigators do, or ufologists, they will try to study the craft, the dimension of the craft, by using these very old black and white pictures.
There in Singapore, right? I found that there were 6 incidences, reports of UFO sightings.
Wow, that's interesting.
1944,
Okay.
1947,
Wow.
1952, if I'm not mistaken, and 1954-55.
Wow.
The most interesting one was the one that was in 1976.
76.
Okay. That one's interesting because it was, I think, it was a Japanese vessel off our shores, and it was called the Shinjumaru, if I'm not mistaken. And witnesses on that ship said that there was a craft that skimmed the wave and shot off into the sky.
Wow.
And the one in 1947 was spotted by a British sergeant, a soldier. And he was describing this craft that was sputtering out. It was moving erratically, and it was sputtering stuff out of his butt, just like the one you saw in Bedok South.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, there was another witness in Johor Bahru that saw the same thing
I see.
on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I found this particular a space online where everything is basically located there for you to check on.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So I went to search in Singapore and I found all these. It was pretty remarkable, man.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Because sometimes reports like that get lost.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, it just get lost but it's interesting to hear that this is the first time hearing it. Yeah. So the true ufologists, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
No. I got good sources as well,
Yeah.
But, now that we're on the topic of MJ12, I mean, you want to go back to Roswell and go on with MJ12?
We carry MJ12.
Okay. And just in case you didn't know also, after MJ12, there was another interesting document that came about years later to Stephen Greer.
Oh, yeah, correct. Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Greer, right?
Yeah.
A bit polarizing figure, as you mentioned earlier before in the last episode.
Yeah.
And a lot of ufologists actually think the same way about him.
Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Greer is the founder of the Close Encounters 5 group. CE5.
Yeah.
And these guys actually somehow able to call out these UAPs or UFOs to appear.
Yes. Through meditation.
Yeah. You guys should check it out. I mean, I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And he received, Stephen Greer, documents from an anonymous sender, same just like MJ12, right? Anonymous, in the mail, about this project called Project Aquarius.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if I'm sure you heard of it.
I heard of this, yeah.
So Project Aquarius apparently, allegedly, supposedly, is a U.S. government's top secret UFO monitoring initiative. And this was during the Eisenhower administration.
Mm-hmm.
And the objective is to glean over the maximum scientific and technological information from any alien spacecraft.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, now this is where it gets hot. It reported the existence of an ET being known as EB, E-B-E, which allegedly survived the Roswell crash and taken to a military facility. EB is short for extraterrestrial biological entity, which we know in the recent Congress how David Grush reported these. He calls them non-human biological entities. There you go. It's been going around. I mean, look at Project Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
That's what Stephen Greer attests to the alleged document that he received, right? And EB, now this is where it gets even hotter. EB, the creature, the alien being, came from the Zeta Reticuli star system.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he survived. It survived. She survived. I don't know what the hell to call it, but I think they're sexless, genderless. Survived until June 18, 1952, where he died of died of an unknown disease. Now, I tell you what caught me there, man. Zeta Reticuli.
Yes.
What's your take on Zeta Reticuli?
Zeta Reticuli, right? It's
about 38,000 light years away, I think.
There's a lot of things about that system. There's a lot,
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a I don't know where to begin. But when I first heard of this Zeta Reticuli, that was back in the 1970s. I saw a documentary.
Right.
The documentary was based on the story of Chariots of the Gods.
Oh,
yeah, right?
okay.
So it was a documentary about UFOs. So they mentioned that these people came from Zeta Reticuli.
Yeah.
So it hit me. What a funny name. It starts with a Z, that kind of thing. But I know it's linked to many things. Maybe you can. You have the honor.
I don't know whether or not these are quacks, man. But it's so damn interesting.
Yeah. It's a star system.
It's a star system. And in that star system, these people are really, really advanced, right? This race of people. We call them, they are known to the people in the UFO circle as the Talls, right? We also know that based on some abductees' stories, that they claim when they were abducted, is usually the short little fellas we call the Greys.
Yeah.
Now, the Greys are apparently grown out of a petri dish, so to speak. They are like biological robots
That's right.
built by the Tolls,
Yes.
because the Tolls can't take our dimension, or our gravity is too dense for them, so they send these guys out. But back in Zeta Reticuli, in that star system, they were at war with the gray race. And I think I think they sort of probably won that conflict, the Tolls, and they took some of the grays and then they replicated them for their use.
Yes.
Right? But they apparently, and what some of the abductees were saying is that these guys, the Tolls, they're not malevolent to us. They're benevolent. They're not out here to give us trouble, but they are concerned about the state of our world. Yeah. They're here merely as observers, I think. Yeah. So this guy, this poor EB, came, is a tall or short one, I don't know which one, really I'm not sure, that came from Zeta Reticuli. And funny enough, you remember this name, Travis Walton?
Yeah, Travis Walton.
The famous abductee, who was a forestry worker, right?
Yes, correct.
He was abducted for 5 days and he didn't really, under hypnosis, he realized what happened to him.
Yeah.
Very famous story. And Travis Walton also said that the people that took him came from Zeta Reticuli. But they seem more human.
Yeah. I do not know whether, I can't recall the facts, Betty and Bunny Hill, right? I think they do come from that place as well.
Also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So there is a common thread about these people coming in.
Yeah.
Like what Chris has said, is a very good, if you just go back a bit, your video, and you listen to him, you can pick out a lot of things, right? These are what you call biological beings. Another word for aliens, nicer term. Biological beings that are here. So there are basically a few. Some of these ufologists in the US have studied them through what they call abduction series or abduction stories. And they find out that there are actually a few races that are actually on Earth or are already here. They are on Earth, but some are really living with us. There are stories like that. So it's another topic for another day because it's very big. Another big topic. Yeah. So coming back to the crash of this Roswell, we had a Majestic 12 group that was released a document, I think through a microfilm, put inside a letterbox. They took it out, then they went to check. So the what happened was that the Majestic 12 letter, or that a few pages, was put up to scrutiny. A lot of people had a lot of arguments in the UFO circle. Some saying that it's rubbish. It is not. It is nothing. It's just a piece of a document that is out to lie to the community. Another group of people say it's real. So the Stanton Friedman says it's real analysis. So they put the letter actually into a lot of research and try to get the head and tail of it. So until now, it is still Majestic 12 as it is. There is no conclusion as to whether that letter is real or not, but it did come from a certain period of time. So talking about crashes, because we were just touching a bit about Roswell, all this that we have mentioned, I guess maybe you can read up or do more investigation on your own. But we also have a very interesting character out of all this that came out. He was born in 1959. He's an American businessman and conspiracy theorist or whatever. He says that he is a reverse engineer from Area 51. His name is Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar is is a very interesting character because he actually purports that he has examined alien craft and read US government briefing documents that describe alien involvement in human affairs over the past 10,000 years. So his claims brought additional public attention to Area 51 because that's where he worked. And that's how he started. Area 51, blah, blah, blah. And he has a following of supporters and detractors. But he has no evidence given yet as to all things that he has done. But Bob Lazar is one of those links again to this thing about crash sources that David Grush has mentioned at the Senate, to the Senate committee. He's one of those interesting topics that is linked to that. So for those of you who are not very sure who this guy is, perhaps again you can look online to find out who this Bob Lazar is.
Well, just to add on a little bit more about Bob Lazar, let me just add some sugar and spice to the story about this guy.
Yes.
This is a guy that actually who was able to fit a jet engine to his Honda. And he drives to work every day
with a jet engine.
With a jet engine. And because of that, right, he got so famous that the military recruited him to work at Area 51. Now, allegedly again, let's link Area 51 to Roswell, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly, the crashed down aircraft was brought over to Area 51. Yeah. And then Bob Lazar attests, so like David Grush and the Whistleblowers, that there has been reverse engineering, as you said. Now, let me just tell you what Bob Lazar said himself. Yeah. Apparently, the fuel to fly these craft come from an element called element 115. This does not exist in our known table of elements.
Yes.
It is exotic technology.
Yes.
Element 115 is said to be able to bend or fold space-time and is fuel for electromagnetism, antimatter, and anti-gravity propulsion. Now, it's interesting because he really went and drew out this whole schematic, where you have, what's it called now? Anti-gravity. What's the word for it? Anti-gravity. They are like three engines, right? Three, looks like, rods sticking out.
Yeah.
And what it does is that it can work independently. It actually, with element 115, it manipulates space-time.
Space-time, correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And it ensures that there's anti-gravity. The skin of the sea's craft must be like a waveguide for high-frequency magnetic radiation that becomes like an anti-gravity effect or anti-graviton effect, where you can negate gravity in your surrounding area and be weightless.
Yeah.
So the whole craft with these things, right, that's pointing down, will generate a sort of a field around the entire craft. And what's interesting is because a few people have said this, that where ET is concerned and where this technology is concerned, space-time, any point in space-time, anywhere, it is exactly the same. All right. Yeah. So what does this mean? If we see UFOs zipping from one spot to the next and then to the next, it is virtually impossible. But are they really moving? Theory has it doesn't.
Yeah, they're bending time.
They're bending time. So, okay, right now we're bending time. We see time there in the next few seconds. We want to be there. And so, therefore, I'm there.
Yeah.
At not speed of light, but at the speed of thought. Because they're saying that the way to pilot these craft is via extrasensory perceptions, via ESP.
Yes.
So Bob Lazar said all these things, It is absolutely fascinating. It's so fucking fascinating. And he says that there's no need for too much energy for extreme maneuvers. So basically, it's just a tiny bit of energy that you need.
Yeah.
And that the skin is like fabric to the touch. Very tough and durable. And there's even something resembling gold threads, but weighs nothing. I mean, it's a kind of alloy we just cannot understand.
Yeah.
And lastly, there's a sphere like the size of a basketball in the center of the craft. This is the main thing that moves the spacecraft. It's like the engine; it drops down when weight is added inside the craft. So if you step into it, whoop. It becomes weightless. When you step in, this sphere drops down, and then you become weightless.
Yeah.
Right? So the craft will start to rise, and when there's weight applied inside the craft.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what Bob Lazar has said. It's ridiculous, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, you want to buy a flying saucer, look for Chris.
Oh.
He says all the specs. So you can build you one.
Man, I tell you.
So Bob Lazar, again, is another polarizing force in the UFO community. He has been around for a long time, but again, there's a lot of people who want to shoot him down by talking about his selling illegal chemicals, and then he was convicted in 1990 for a prostitution ring, blah blah. So this all
tried to screw him over, basically.
Screw him over, yeah. So this is the natural progression of how certain things happen. If you reveal too much. So therefore, this case in point is actually very educational for people who are listening in. Those who already know these topics, you'll find that it's nothing new.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this for the very first time, you will open your eyes and open your ears. Yeah, because we try to be very balanced. We try to give as much, but most of the time we try to skim the topic, and then we don't go really quite deep inside due to time factor. Yeah. But it is quite a big thing. So after all this is done, once we have the congressional hearings, it keeps going on. More people are involved, and then we have the history of the Roswell and Majestic 12 documents, and then we have characters like Bob Lazar and other alien abduction sort of testimonies given by people. Right, the next thing will come, which is the disclosure events, right? So what's the meaning of disclosure? Now, disclosure means, okay, I admit, let's have all the prime ministers and presidents of the world in the United Nations admit to the world, we are being visited. They are going to come, blah, blah, blah. So be prepared, we are not alone. So that's what you call disclosure. Whatever you have heard all these 80 years, 100 years, it is true. So how do we actually purport that? Deal with that. Now, I come from where I come from, which is the island of Singapore, which is very small. If you go to the man on the street here, when you talk about these topics, I think a mere 1% will understand. The 99% they don't know because it is really out of their realm. They have never heard of it. They have never been inside the topic before because they're all in a very safe zone. So I would say maybe we are a reflection. The country is a reflection of many other societies in the world where such a topic, it never actually crossed their mind. But if it were to come, it would be a very big
shock to the system.
Big shock to the system because some people don't even know what are grays, what are aliens, what are flying saucers. I mean, unfortunately, they're not learning enough because of their life. They're more interested in, I guess, making a living. The same goes for the US. The recent congressional hearing, only about 5% of the US population were interested.
Really?
Yeah, the rest of it is like, oh, okay, there's nothing. Okay, well, let's move on. So the major newspapers, they just write in passing there was this thing, but they didn't really pay much attention and blow it up. And this is something big in the history of mankind. It didn't happen that way. So should disclosure happen one fine day, then I think the world will still be in a shock.
Well, as you said, I mean, okay, let's really try put up a disclaimer here.
Okay.
Again, the only reason why we come back together to talk about this topic is simply because it's really entertaining, it's interesting, it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And also we recognize the fact that, as we said a couple of times, that in Singapore and in Asia, this is a very least talk about topic. And so we just want to talk about it. That's about the size of it. Whether you believe it or not, it's really up to you. We're not saying that it's true. We're not saying it's real. We're saying that, hey, look, guys, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can't, excuse me, hide the fact that, people there have been witnesses. There have been videos taken. And if you think it doesn't happen in Asia or in your own hometown, let me just show you this clip. And you tell me whether it's familiar. We're not saying something happened. We're just saying that it was really interesting, worthwhile to take a look at. Kai, can we play that one, please? The one that happened. That's the one. There you go. Now, this is a still shot taken by a tourist named Warren Nichols on the top of the Marina Bay Sands at NDP 2023.
National Day Parade 2023.
Yep, that's our fly past.
Yes.
Now take a look at that in circle in blue. Now, Kai, if you could just speed it up and just let people take a look at that. You see, it started from here, and then there it goes. Whoops, it went past. Now, could we say it was dust? No. Look at that trajectory. It's too linear.
Yeah, it's too linear. It's too fast.
It's too fast. Was that a glare from the sun going like that? And through the clouds?
Yeah.
I don't think so, man.
Yeah, you must understand the speed of that fighter jet.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna again disclaimer, man. I'm not saying that our own authorities don't know whether there are things up there, or know there are things up there. I'm not saying anything like that.
Yeah, can I see that again?
Yeah, here we go.
That's
You have the real video?
yeah, maybe the full video.
There we go. He's coming up right now. Here we go.
We'll fly past National Day Parade.
9-second mark. Was it a 9-second mark? Okay, he's slowing it down. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's very fast.
It is very fast.
Very, very fast.
It just zoomed right
Moving
past.
fast, yeah.
So, what we did was, okay, Kai, if we bring back the stills, please. The still shots for that. Take your time. Don't worry. Don't panic.
This is very interesting.
Now, take a look at this, huh? If we were to go just one more, the next frame. There you go.
Yeah.
You see that? Now, what I did was I enlarged that.
I see.
From here, we thought, was that a Tic Tac? No, it was a disc shape.
It's this shape.
Object, right? And it really just zoomed
very
right
fast,
past,
yeah.
just like that. And it's crazy, man. It was just boom, just like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an aircraft.
Now, if you're saying that's a bird
Yep.
or an insect in front of the lens, I doubt so, because
Yep.
I see the trajectory of that movement as a very straight line.
Yep.
Okay. It is obviously, yes, as you can see very slowly. Yeah.
Yeah.
See the frame
Yeah.
frame by frame
It's
action.
linear.
It's
Yeah.
linear,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
not like a bug or something like that.
Right.
Okay? I mean, we know what as a bug is.
Yep.
There is sunlight coming out. It's taken in a day.
Yep.
And as you can see, the jet is the best reference because of the speed of that
Yes.
aeroplane.
Yeah.
And you see this thing flying over.
Do you think that this was doctored?
I don't think it's doctored.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, because we have seen sightings like that around the world, where
Okay.
they fly by very quickly,
Okay.
very fast. But I'm amazed that this was actually captured, because normally people will shoot such a video, but it was just stay silent. Oh, okay, I don't know what's that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the thing is that they were obviously shooting from the top of MBS,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Maybe at a sky park, and then they were taking a shot of the fly past.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
obviously, people would videotape the fly past.
Yeah.
Right?
For those who are not in the know, MBS is a Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, with a very famous building,
Yeah.
where they have this boat-shaped thing with an infinity pool where you can swim. Right, so I can't swim there because I'm too fat. The water will come out.
Overflows.
Overflow. So that's where the infinity pool, and that's where they will charge very expensive tickets,
Drinks.
if you have a National Day parade in Singapore, which happens.
Oh,
in
it's going to
August,
be freaking expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. So you have a full view of the fireworks and the display and the parade and everything.
But worth the money, man, because Singapore is a beautiful country, man. If you go at the top of MBS, you really see a wonderful view.
yeah, very beautiful view.
But just again, I'm going to show you one more, okay?
Sure.
This one was taken 3 years ago. Credit to Fairuz Almudin for posting this on YouTube. This is Singapore, and this is the footage now. The person speaking who filmed this, we'll hear her speak as well.
Okay.
Take a look at that. Look at that.
It's so circular, gang.
Now it's hidden in the clouds now.
It disappeared. It just
No, it never disappeared.
it's like behind the cloud.
Let this cloud move first.
Shall
Let
we?
it smoke and wait.
Okay.
I really want to see. I'm so fascinated with aliens.
Really?
I really hope
Do
it's
you?
an alien. So at least before I die, I saw one
Alright.
big bugger, in the sky. You see, that's a plane. You see, that is a plane. That is not a plane.
Yeah, she's funny, man.
Donut in the sky. That.
Oh, there it is, peeping out of the clouds again.
And it's so bright, babe.
No, I don't think that's Venus. I don't think that's any of our planets.
I wish I had the Huawei 23. How many times you can
Look at that now. You saw that?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's
perfect.
spinning lah, babe. See, babe.
I don't know if it was spinning or whether it was pulsating, right?
It's
Ooh.
Fucking spinning lah.
it's
It's like that.
Your pixelated lah.
Really?
It's your screen. It's not
Hey, the cloud covering again.
Pixelated? Really?
Oh my
I think it's pretty damn clear.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, she's funny, man.
Yeah.
Again, credit to Fairuz Almudin. Thanks for posting this up on YouTube 3 years back. That happened 3 years ago, man.
Yeah.
But, again, the last time you were not here and Douglas was here, you should have seen his videos.
Okay.
One at 2 in the afternoon.
They'll be here, right? On CCBTV?
Yeah, it'll be here. It'll be
So,
on.
I don't tell it to me. I would like to watch it. Oh.
1 at 2 in the afternoon and 1 at night.
Yeah.
And these things follow him, man.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there are cases where we have heard of stories like that. Where
Yeah.
somehow there is a connection. I know what is this bugger talking about? What connection between the alien and you? Some people do attract things like that, and I don't know how to explain it. But wherever they are, in any part of the world, they will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are cases in France. There are cases in Australia where they actually get very good footages. There are also sometimes there was a famous one, I think, in Switzerland or Zurich, somewhere there, Norway, right up there,
Yeah.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they take perfect pictures of this craft. It's nothing to be laughed about, because when you see the way they take those videos, you know it's not doctored.
Right.
How do I know? Because I know a bit about video doctoring lah. So, so that's the thing. Now, this video that was just shown, what struck me is my first time seeing it, is the luminosity, the brightness of the object.
Right.
Okay, some people say it's the moon. Okay,
Yeah.
the moon represents my heart. No, not really. I don't think so. It's a moon, because the way it is moving,
Uh-huh.
right? I love the commentary by the videographer. It's very interesting. But what struck me is basically the way it just moves and through the clouds and out. Now, some people say, no, the light is stationary, the cloud is moving.
Right.
I don't think so. It is that way, because we have observed the moon and the clouds, how it moves. This is very
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
To me,
Let's go back to Roswell for a bit. Let me pull up that map of Roswell.
yeah.
Kai, there you go. The reason why I pulled out this map for Roswell is because if you notice, man, Roswell is right there, right? And you can see, I think, to the left of the map, if I'm not mistaken, you see White Sands Missile Base.
Yeah.
And it is really quite well known that where UFOs appear, they love to appear where the US bases are, especially where the nuclear
Yes.
missile facilities are
Yes,
located.
correct. Yeah.
So that map was kind of interesting when you take a look at it and see the White Sands Missile Base
Yes,
is there. Right?
yeah.
It's a testing ground, if I'm not
Testing ground,
mistaken.
yes, correct.
I'm not American, you're not American, so we're just guessing about that. But it's clear it's a missile base.
Yes.
And beyond that, there is this guy. Now, I guess it's been an hour already, so I think we can end off the program right
problem,
now.
yeah.
But I just want to end with this. The director of Skunkworks. Skunkworks, we know, is the prototype development part of the company of Lockheed Martin.
An aeronautical company.
Yes, an aeronautics company, and these are the guys that get the contracts from the U.S. government. Ben Rich was the director of Skunkworks from 75 to 91. He gave a lecture to the UCLA School of Engineering. And the last slide of his 40 slides that he showed to these guys had a black disc heading into space. He ended his speech with these words: "We now have the technology to take E.T. home." After the lecture, he told one of his attendees that the vessel worked at the principle of ESP, extrasensory perception. It's not clear how it was connected to the propulsion of the craft, but he hinted that all points in space-time were connected. It is a noiseless craft capable of achieving both radar and optical invisibility, a magnetic field disruptor which neutralizes the effects of gravity, and is massive and comparable to 2 football fields. Yeah, so it's he said quite a lot actually, but this is where we have to end the show, and how we're ending the first of the Chris Hansen Conversations UFO Reveal Asia series. We're ending this with President Eisenhower's farewell speech, and it's just going to be this short little excerpt. Thanks again, Bong, for being here.
You're most welcome.
As usual, it's been informative, it's been fun, and we got a lot more to tell people about.
Yeah.
And this is Chris Hansen leaving you with Dwight E. Eisenhower. Here we go.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.